Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Political Ray. We've got some stories for you. Some old stuff that's still being rehashed. But it is Thursday. I hope everybody, or no, it's Wednesday. I apologize. Getting my days confused. It's Wednesday, everybody. Hump day, as they refer to it. Some people, anyway. We're gonna get into a few things, but just before we do, just remember I am live Monday through Friday, 7:30 Eastern Time, just ahead of the Rumble lineup. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you being here. We've got Schumer, old Chucky, saying that there will be blocks on DOJ nominees until they figure out the whole Qatar gifted airplane to President Trump. They say it's to President Trump, but it was actually, gifted to the Pentagon or the DOJ, whatever, however you want to say it. But we'll get into that just a little bit. I have covered it just briefly before, but I've got my opinions on it. I don't think it's a good idea, but the way that left is acting about it, I'm starting to lean more of just go ahead and take it and use it the way you want. Anyway, we've got that. We've also got a judge. A federal judge did come out and say that Trump was well within his rights to use the Aliens Enemies Act to use it for deportations because, look, I don't know what everybody else thinks, but in my opinion, I think 10 to 20 million people surging across the southern border, I think that classifies it as an invasion. You guys can let me know what you think. I think that classifies it an invasion. I think he's well within his rights also to use the Alien Enemies Act in order to deport people out back to where they came from. You can let me know. There was another Tesla attack over the weekend that honestly I didn't see until last night, oddly enough. But it is being investigated. It was in California, of all places. Go figure. And Judge Dugan, we all remember her, the judge who escorted an illegal alien out the back door of the courthouse to avoid being arrested by ICE. She has been federally indicted. Love to see it. I think she should be. Set an example. Throw the book at her. That's just my opinion. She broke the law. Anyway, she's a judge. She should know better. And we've got, everybody remembers this Shri Thandedar, this congressperson who is bringing up impeachment articles against President Trump. He made a speech in front of an empty House floor about his impeachment indictments, but we'll get into that just a little bit as well. But again, appreciate you being here. I'm live every morning, 7:30 Eastern, just ahead of the Rumble lineup. Again, appreciate you being here. Well, let's go ahead and get into this. Let me go ahead and I'll shrink myself down here, and we'll start with old Chucky. Now, old Chucky Schumer. This guy is something else. But let's take a look at what he has to say. And he's talking, this is about the Qatar jet that is being gifted to President Trump. You can say that if you want, but it's actually a gift that's being gifted to the Department of Justice / Pentagon, whatever. I mean, like I said, the more I hear about the left losing their minds over this, the more I'm starting to say, just take the stupid plane. Look, Boeing had a contract that was supposed to provide a new Air Force One to the president. It was a contract that was drawn up in President Trump's first term, and it wasn't fulfilled. Now, Boeing says that it's due to COVID and one of their suppliers going through bankruptcy and what have you. But now they're saying, look, the contract was supposed to be fulfilled last year. Still hasn't been fulfilled, and now Boeing is saying that they may not be able to have the jet ready until 2035, another 10 years. Another whole decade before they think that this plane is going to be delivered. A lot of people are saying that, look, it's a breach of contract. Now, Boeing, there's rumors flying around that saying that Boeing could actually sue President Trump over this. I don't see that because the contract was supposed to be fulfilled last year, as I said before. So I don't see what grounds they have as far as like suing the Trump administration or President Trump, what have you. I don't see any kind of grounds to justify being sued over this. And look, he hasn't canceled the contract. I think he would be well within his rights to do so since the plane hasn't been delivered at this point. I think he's well within his right. Look, the contract, it was supposed to be delivered last year again. That to me, now I'm not a judge. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. I don't know the legality of this. I don't know if he'd be within his rights to just cancel the contract. I think that he would be, just because the contract said that the plane was going to be delivered last year. Now, I know extenuating circumstances, what have you, COVID, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. I don't. Other companies have worked through COVID and other, hassles that they've had to deal with, and they still fulfilled obligations. So I don't know. But anyway, take a look at what Chucky says here. And you let me know what you think about his statements. I think this guy's an idiot. This is the guy. Look, I strongly believe a lot of people are thinking AOC is going to be making a run for that presidency. I don't see it, just because I don't think that she's got the national backing that everybody else thinks she does. I think that she's unpopular as far as nationally. I think in her district and in her state, I think she's very popular. For some reason, unbeknownst to me, I don't know why, but people like her. I don't know. I think she's going to take over Chucky's seat. That's what I think. I could be wrong. You guys let me know what you think, but we'll take a look at what he says here. We'll take a look.
News of the Qatari government gifting Donald Trump a $400 million private jet to use as Air Force One is so corrupt that even Putin would give a double take. This is not just naked.
I disagree with that statement wholeheartedly. I think if Putin was gifted a $400 million aircraft, he's not going to turn it down. I think he'd take it in a heartbeat. It's my opinion.
Corruption. It is also a grave national security threat. So in light of the deeply troubling news of a...
So as far as a national security threat, I know a lot of people say, well, there could be listening devices, the plane could be sabotaged, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let me just fill everybody. It's not like he's going to take this plane and then just start using it right away. It's not going to be the case. Him taking this plane is going to have a thorough sweep. It's going to be gone through. They're going to check for devices or whatever, it's going to be completely overhauled. They're just taking the plane itself. Then they're going to overhaul the whole inside, the interior, what have you. And they're going to make it the new Air Force One. They're going to put top tier security within the plane, what have you. They're going to convert it to Air Force One. I don't see it being an actual security threat. I do see it being, looked at as a bribe from the Qatar government to President Trump. I see that. That's going to come into play. I have no doubt about it. And they're going to talk about this for years to come. That's why I don't think, look, I said before, I don't think Trump should do it, just because of the fact that it's not looked upon very with, affection, or it's not looked at positively, whatever you want to say about it. I don't think it's a good idea. I think he should, say, look, I appreciate the offer, but I just can't accept this gift. That's just my opinion on it. But at the same time, I can see where he's coming from with the whole Boeing thing. But anyway, let's keep going with this one.
Possible Qatari-funded Air Force One, and the reports that the Attorney General personally signed off on this clearly unethical deal, I am announcing a hold on all DOJ political nominees until we get more answers.
So there you go. He's going to put a hold on all DOJ nominees until they get answers. What answers do you want? He doesn't actually specify what answers he wants. He keeps it open. He keeps it broad because they want this to be a talking point for years to come. And I'm telling you right now that it will be. Trump taking this plane is going to be a controversy for years. It's going to be a headline for a very long time. Maybe not years, but at least a year long. They're going to be talking about this. Like I said, I think he should just refuse it, but that's just my opinion. And I don't see, like I said, I don't like Qatar. I don't. I'm not a fan of them. I do think they're one of the major funders of terrorism within that region. I know that. I mean, I don't like them as a country. I don't like their political structure. I'm not a fan. Just to make that just perfectly clear, I don't like them. But again, I can see where President Trump's coming, saying, "Look, Boeing is supposed to deliver this plane last year. Now they're saying they're not going to get it to us until 35. The guy wants a new plane. The current Air Force One is over 40 years old. I can understand his side of the argument. You let me know what you think. I don't know. Anyway, so we'll talk about this here. This is from Newsweek. Okay, this is talking about the fact that Boeing has had this contract to provide a new Air Force One to the government since President Trump's first term. I think it was 2018, I believe, is when the contract was signed. And now they're saying that it was supposed to be delivered last year. Now it's not going to be delivered until probably 2035, another decade. So anyway, we'll get into this. Newsweek: Boeing could sue over Donald Trump's new Air Force One plane. Attorney. Again, I don't think that that's plausible. I don't see. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a judge. I just don't see how they could sue over this, especially given the fact that the plane was supposed to be delivered last year, and it still hasn't been. And now they're saying 2035 is when it'll be delivered. I don't see. If anything, I'm not a lawyer, but I would see President Trump canceling the contract just because of the fact that they didn't fulfill their obligation. You tell me what you think. President Donald Trump receiving a plane as a gift from Qatar's royal family could result in Boeing suing his administration, according to an attorney. I don't see how. I just don't. It's not like he's canceled the contract at this point. Maybe if he had canceled the contract, then maybe I guess they could have a grounds for suing President Trump and the administration, perhaps. But the fact that they haven't fulfilled their obligation as far as the contract goes, I don't see this holding any kind of water. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know for sure. Trump sparked ethical and legal criticism after considering whether to accept the Boeing 747-8, which will be retrofitted with state-of-the-art security and communications to serve as Air Force One. Qatar officials said the plane was being given to the Qatar Ministry of Defense to the Pentagon. However, Trump said the Boeing 747-8 jet will be used as the official presidential plane. And according to multiple reports, after he leaves office, it will be transferred to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation. I have another problem with that, just because of the fact that it's supposedly being gifted to the Pentagon, to the Department of Justice or Department of Defense, what have you. Transferring it to the Presidential Library Foundation, I don't know, maybe to sell it to get some money. I mean, it is a $400 million aircraft, and then you'd have to take, excuse me, you'd have to take all the security and all the retrofit, as it were, all the upgrades and stuff that you make to the plane in order to make it the new Air Force One. You'd have to take all that stuff out again in order just to gift it, wouldn't you? I mean, am I right or am I wrong about that? So I don't know. If it's a gift to the Pentagon, I don't think that he would have the right to actually just give it to the Presidential Library Foundation. I don't know. Somebody let me know. Why it matters. Boeing was contracted to deliver a replacement for Air Force One in July of 18. See, yeah, like I said, 18. A long time ago. Now, I understand COVID. You got a company that was going through bankruptcy. Every company has its ups and downs. But other companies still fulfill the obligations. They find other suppliers, what have you. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. The company said it has experienced delays because of factors including the bankruptcy of a key supplier, staff turnover, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Trump said in February that he was not happy with Boeing and may purchase a plane elsewhere. I think he should. That would be the most sane and what's the word I'm looking for? Logical, I guess, move to make. Why take this gift from Qatar? I guess, I mean, it doesn't cost me any money. It's not costing the taxpayers any money to just take a free plane from Qatar and then just retrofit it. I mean, we're saving money. I mean, that's what President Trump is trying to do, save money for the American people. So this would do that. Attorney Bradley P. Moss told Newsweek that Boeing would almost certainly have a clear breach of contract lawsuit. How? Anyway, it remains contracted to produce the new Air Force One planes that would get messy and heated very quickly. I still don't see the grounds on what grounds they have on suing. They haven't fulfilled their contract. It was supposed to be delivered last year. It hasn't. And this is just, it's not like he's going to, this is the new permanent Air Force One. He said he's going to donate it to the Library Foundation. So the contract hasn't been canceled. So I don't see the grounds for suing him. I don't. Somebody let me know. He added Boeing, as well as any contractors and subcontractors, would almost certainly stand to bring a civil action under the Tucker Act. This act allows individuals to sue the government in specific cases where the government has breached a contract. How? How has he breached the contract? Somebody tell me. Look, unless there's some kind of clause in that contract saying that he's not allowed to use any other plane except for the current Air Force One, he's not allowed to use any other plane until they make the new one. Unless there's some kind of clause in that contract. But again, they haven't fulfilled their end of the contract either. I don't think that they have any kind of standing. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know for sure. Indeed, if this gift goes forward, it is practically axiomatic that some type of lawsuit will occur, Moss said, whether it be strictly for monetary damages or if an action or injunctive relief were to also take place remains to be seen. However, Richard Painter, a chief ethics lawyer under the former President George W. Bush, said that while Boeing could sue, it's very unlikely. For what? Again, I don't see how they could. I don't see it. But Boeing perhaps could sue if it affects their contract to build Air Force One, but the contract is still in place. Like I said, it's still in place, so they don't really have any. Maybe if he canceled the contract again, but he hasn't done that. It's very unlikely they will sue, he told Newsweek, if the plane is accepted and turned over to the Trump Presidential Library. In subsequent administration could sue to get it back, claiming the unconstitutional gift had become the property of the U.S. government. What people are saying. President Donald Trump on True Social said the fact that the Defense Department is getting a gift free of charge of a 747 aircraft to replace the 40-year-old Air Force One temporarily in a very public and transparent transaction so bothers the crooked Democrats that they insist we pay top dollar for the plane. Anybody can do that. The Dems are world-class losers, MAGA. Again, I think he could probably tone this down a bit. He can just say what I'm saying. Just my opinion. Look, it's not a permanent solution. We're going to take this gift. We're going to use it. Boeing's super behind on providing us with a new Air Force One. It was supposed to be delivered last year. In my opinion, they're the ones that are in breach of the contract. Again, I'm not a lawyer. So let's see. Qatari media, I'm not going to say that because I can't pronounce it, said the transfer remains under consideration and that no decision has been made, according to ABC News. Now, again, I will say, I don't think that it's a good idea for him to accept a gift from Qatar. I think they're a major funder of terrorism in the region. I don't like Qatar, and it's a bad outtake. It's a bad look on the presidency. It's a bad look on the what have you. Old Chucky, I think he's an idiot, but he's going to do what he does. But I can see President Trump's side on this. I can. He wanted a new plane. The current one's over 40 years old. He wants a new Air Force One. It was he got the contract wrote up in 2018. It was supposed to be delivered last year. It still hasn't happened, and now they're saying 2035. He's frustrated. I don't blame him. Anyway, now we're going to go ahead and move on to the Aliens Enemies Act. Now, a federal, I believe she's a federal judge. Yeah, this is from the Post Millennial. Breaking federal judge rules Trump admin can use Alien Enemies Act to deport illegal immigrant gang members. Now, just for context, the Alien Enemies Act was enacted, what was it, 73, in the 70s, I believe. Don't quote me exactly. I know I've seen it before, but as of right now, I can't recall. But it, in the instance of an invasion, and I will say that now the low end is 10 million, the high end is 20 million. Depends on who you're talking to. But I think 10 to 20 million people coming over the southern border willy-nilly during the last 4 years during the Biden administration, I think that justifies as an invasion. You guys let me know. I think that that's totally within the boundaries of an invasion. But anyway, A federal judge in Pennsylvania has sided with the Trump administration in its invocation of the Alien Enemies Act to swiftly deport illegal immigrants that are part of gangs that have been designated as terrorist organizations. Talking about MS-13 and the TDA gang. Um, President Trump has justifiably categorized them as terrorist organizations. I completely 100% agree. They commit terrible acts. They shouldn't be in this country. They should be in prison. End of story. If you don't think so, then you've got other problems. I don't know what to tell you. Let's see. Judge Stephanie L. Haynes for the U.S. District Court of the Western District of Pennsylvania wrote, as the court stressed at the beginning of this opinion, this case implicates significant issues. In resolving these issues, the court's flagging obligation is to apply the law as written. When the court does so, it finds that the proclamation now at issue complies with the Alien Enemies Act, and the court further finds that respondents must provide greater notice to those subject to removal under the AEA than they are currently providing. Having done its job, the court now leaves it to the president, to the political branches of the government, to ultimately to the people who elected those individuals to decide whether the laws and those executing them continue to reflect their will, she concluded. Yes, I think it's justifiable. The Alien Enemies Act to rid the American people of these. I don't want these people walking among our communities where our children play in the streets and or on the sidewalk, walking down the sidewalks, playing in the parks, what have you. I don't want them here. If you are one of these people who are actively advocating for these people to stay within the United States, you've got other problems. You're not a good person if you want people who commit rape and murder and other heinous crimes. I don't know what to tell you. Most of all, the proclamation references the fact that the Secretary of State has designated TDA as the FTO pursuant to Title 8, United States Code Section 1189, and designation that heavily supports the conclusions within the proclamation that TDA is a cohesive group united by common goal of causing significant disruption to the public safety of the United States. We all remember the story about them in Colorado, them taking over apartment buildings. Now, the media, the mainstream media, would like, they brushed that under the table. They told you it wasn't true when everybody saw that what was happening. Anyway, I digress. Therefore, for all the foregoing reasons, the court finds that the proclamation meets the definition of predatory incursion under the AEA, and the court finds that ASR has not shown a likelihood of success on the merits on the issue. This is a breaking story, blah, blah, blah. Now, here's the, you can go on here to the Post-Millennial. You can look at this yourself. But this is, they've got the, the court ruling right here put out by this judge. And I think, I say good on you. This shouldn't be, this shouldn't be a topic of controversy. It shouldn't be. You've got people advocating for these people to stay within the United States. These people are wrong. Just do a little bit of research yourself, and you'll see that these people are not good people, and they shouldn't be here. They should be in prison somewhere. I don't care where, but they should be in prison, not walking among walking on our streets where our children are and what have you, going to school, everything else. Anyway, that being said, we'll go ahead and go on to the Tesla. Let's see here. Well, we get that back up. This also from the Post-Millennial. Now, I don't know how I didn't see this before, but we do have another story of arson. Now, this says this was attempted arson, but FBI investigates attempted arson at Tesla dealership in Vallejo, California. I think I say that right, but let's take a look at this story. If you are a person who is committing arson simply because you can't keep your emotions in check, then you need some help. I don't know what else to tell you. Let's see. Federal and local authorities have launched a joint investigation into an attempted arson attack that occurred on Saturday at a Tesla dealership in Vallejo, California. Agents with the Federal Bureau of Investigations are working to determine if the incident was an act of domestic terrorism. Authorities first responded to reports of vandalism, police said. Now, I would completely 100% classify this as domestic terrorism. This is politically motivated because of the fact that Elon Musk is helping out the Trump administration. He doesn't have an official role, but he is heading up temporarily Doge within the federal government, and they're weeding out waste and corruption, wasteful usage of taxpayer dollars. I don't know how anybody's not okay with that. I don't like my taxpayer dollars going to, fund crappy stuff, especially overseas. That's what they're trying to weed out, wasteful spending. If you're not okay with that, then you're just misinformed. Or you're just dumb. I don't know. You tell me. The incident occurred around 12:50 a.m. on May 10th at the Tesla dealership located at 1000 block of Admiral, blah, blah, blah. Police officers responded to the scene and later notified the FBI and alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Let's see. Sergeant Rashad Hollis told the Sun federal partners were called to determine if this incident would be categorized as domestic terrorism. Authorities did not release details about the extent of the damage, but stated that the investigation was ongoing. Let's see. FBI Sacramento field office posted a photo on Facebook of federal and local law enforcement officers standing in front of black Tesla, blah, 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 last weekend, blah, blah, blah. So they don't have a suspect yet. I would think, the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, that's 4 days now. I've seen them get quicker. Maybe the cameras didn't catch this person. I don't know. Hopefully they'll find him and they charge him and throw the book at him. This kind of stuff shouldn't be happening. I've said it before. All these people vandalizing just because they can't. They're vandalizing, destroying, destruction of property, what have you, all because they can't keep their emotions in check. That's all what this boils down to. Just keep your emotions in check. Be an adult. I know it's hard sometimes. It sucks. But that's part of life. Anyway, I'll just go ahead. That'd be enough of that. I want to talk about this one. This is what I'm excited about. This is from NBC News. And this is fantastic news. I am all for this. This is exciting. Now, we've had 2 different judges now being arrested over immigration issues and illegals being within this country. We had that one that was harboring a TDA member within their guest house. Now, that judge was retired, but him and his wife were both arrested. We remember that story. Now, we had, on the heels of that, we had the other story of this Judge Dugan, who personally escorted this illegal alien out the back door with his lawyer after he was there for breaking the law. She was overseeing the case. This guy had already, for one, he was in the country illegally. That's broken law number 2, or 1 rather. Number 2, I forget the exact charge for what he was there in the first place. Maybe this article will say it, but he was in court. This judge was overseeing his case. He broke another law after coming in illegally, and this judge decided that it was on her to escort this person out the back door to avoid being arrested by ICE. Throw the book at her. I want to see more of this. These people, politicians included, who are actively telling people how to avoid ICE, what they can do. It's interfering with police investigations, what have you. They should be arrested, and they should have the book thrown at them. That's my opinion, and I'm excited to see this. But anyway, let's get into this story. So, federal grand jury indicts Milwaukee judge accused of obstructing immigration agents. Good. Anyway, there's old Judge Dugan. A federal grand jury Tuesday indicted a Wisconsin judge arrested by the FBI for allegedly obstructing government agents seeking to detain an undocumented immigrant. He's an illegal alien. He was in court for another crime on top of coming into the country illegally. But she decided that she needed to take this guy out to avoid arrest. The 2-page indictment accuses Milwaukee Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan of confronting members of immigration and customs enforcement and falsely telling them they needed a judicial warrant to conduct their operation. It also accused her of directing the undocumented immigrant, illegal alien, and his lawyer to exit through a separate door to sidestep federal agents. Now, this person, she took him out the jury door and then out the back door of the courthouse. No, she's a judge. She should know better. Anyway, Dugan was arrested last month and charged with obstructing or impeding a proceeding before a department or agency of the United States and concealing an individual to prevent his discovery and arrest. The maximum penalty for the counts is a total of 6 years in prison and up to $350,000 in fines. Dugan is scheduled to enter her plea to the charges Thursday morning. So that's tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. I hope she gets the book thrown at her. I don't care at this point. I don't. This person broke the law. She's a judge. She should know better. She willingly did this and aided and abetting an illegal alien to avoid capture and deportation. The guy's already a criminal. He was in court for committing a crime, but she felt it was necessary to hide this guy. Dugan's attorney, Craig, I'm going to butcher that name, Mastatuno, I don't know, said in a statement Tuesday that the judge maintains her innocence. I don't know how she could. As she said, after the unnecessary arrest, Judge Dugan asserts her innocence and looks forward to being vindicated in court. Good luck, I guess. I don't see it happening. I hope not. If this judge gets off, oh my goodness. Talk about, doing whatever you want and not having to face the consequences. But that's the Democratic Party. Republicans, too. I mean, they do a lot of crap and get away with it as well. Accountability. I talk about it a lot. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a big fan of accountability. Actions have consequences. You have to face them. You're an adult. Dugan's arrest in April marked an insatisfaction in the Trump administration's crackdown on immigration and its attacks on judges, sparking protests in Milwaukee. Why? The Democrats like to talk about nobody is above the law. This is a prime example of it. I don't see why they would be in an uproar about it. Only because of the fact that it's going against their narrative. That's why. On the day of her arrest, Attorney General Pam Bondi said on Fox News, of course she was on Fox News. She's on Fox News every day. When is she not on Fox News? I don't like her, if you can't tell. If you are harboring a fugitive, we don't care who you are. If you are helping hide anyone who is illegally in this country, we will come after you and we will prosecute you. We will find you. Good. Look, I don't like Pam Bondi. I think she talks a big game. She doesn't actually do anything. I want to see actions more than I want to see words, hear words, whatever. Dugan was released on bond after appearing before a federal magistrate judge. The Wisconsin Supreme Court temporarily relieved Dugan of her duties last month. While the case moves forward in action, the court said it took on its own and to protect public trust in Wisconsin courts. Good. She needs to be she needs to be in jail. That's it. Look, and I'm not heartless. I don't, if they want to give her just like a minimum sentence, 6 months, a year in jail with a huge fine, I'm fine with that. Accountability, though. People have to be held accountable because until accountability is taking place, these people will continue to do whatever they want because they know they can get away with it. That's it. Oh, it's frustrating, but I like to see this. I hope that she has to face the consequences. I hope she just doesn't get off. There's a lot of people who think that she might just get off, and it's not an improbability. It could happen. It wouldn't surprise me, but I'm hoping for the best. So, everybody remembers this guy, right? This guy, this Shri Thandedar guy, come out, nobody knew who this guy was, kind of like Van Hollen. Nobody knew who these people were until they, decided to get their 15 minutes of fame, get into the spotlight. Now, this guy came out, it was a couple weeks back now at this point, said that he was going to be filing 7 different articles of impeachment against President Trump. I don't think a lot of this is going to hold water. You guys can let me know what you think about this. I think this guy is grandstanding. He knows, he even says in his little speech here, he knows he doesn't have the votes. It's a slim majority, but Republicans hold the House and the Senate. It's slim, but Republicans have it. He's not going to get the votes needed in order to get the impeachment through, but he's going to go ahead and push this forward anyway. Why? Because he's grandstanding, just like Al Green in his little cane shaking during President Trump's, State of the Union, not State of the Union. It's just grandstanding. That's all it is. They know it's not going to go anywhere, but they got to get their 15 minutes of fame because nobody knows who these people are otherwise. Look, Al Green, That guy's out of the news already. Where'd he go? He was talking about impeaching him too. Where's he at? Give this guy credit because at least he's still keeping himself active and keeping himself in the news. But here we take a look at this video. You guys let me know what you think about. I think he's an idiot. My opinion, but you guys let me know.
First Amendment rights, ignoring due process, and finally refusing to abide by a unanimous Supreme Court ruling.
Let me just say and point out to the fact that due process for illegals, their due process is they get in trouble, they commit a crime. Officer says, "Who are you? Oh, you're here illegally? Let's send you home." That's their due process. I don't care anymore. Done. Send them home.
Just as I stand here in the House of Representatives, Mr. Trump is traveling to Middle East to accept a gift worth of $400 million from a foreign government.
And let's not forget, now talking about the Qatar plane that's being gifted, let's not forget that President Trump's not alone in as far as accepting gifts from foreign governments. You don't think Biden, look at, a prime example is Hunter Biden. On the Burisma board, getting kickbacks. He didn't have any experience within the field, and he was getting 500,000, what was it? Or no, it was 50,000 a month. Plus, 10% for the big guy. Nobody's innocent as far as politics and not taking bribes and money from foreign caliphates or foreign governments. Nobody's clear and free of all that kind of stuff. None of these people in government are. I would imagine most of them are. But anyway, let's keep going with this Shri guy. He's an idiot.
I have spoken with Americans all over the country. They ask me,
I doubt that.
What will you do as President Trump continues his unconstitutional activities? Well, Madam Speaker, I rise today to hold this president accountable. The fact of the matter is, the president has committed crime after crime. I'm not concerned about whether this is the right time or if there are enough votes from my colleagues across the aisle.
He's not worried about it. It's not going to go anywhere, but he doesn't care. He wants his 5 minutes of fame. This is what he's going to do. It's grandstanding at its finest. This guy's not, I give him props. I mean, at least Al Green's gone away. He said he was going to, impose articles of impeachment. He's gone. But at least this guy's keeping going with it. He wants to stay in the spotlight, I guess.
I rise today to do my duty and uphold my oath to protect the Constitution. The effort is not about partisanship. It's about principles. If we don't draw the line now, we risk losing the rule of law entirely. And if we don't act today, we are complicit in letting democracy erode on our watch. That's why I introduced Resolution 353 to impeach Donald J. Trump, outlining 7 articles of impeachment. Because when a president violates the Constitution, Congress must act.
I'm going to encourage everybody to go, if you want to, just go. I'm not going to get into all of them. Just go look up the articles of impeachment, 7 of them that he's bringing against President Trump. Just go look at them. They're all crap. That's what I'll say about it. But
my 7 articles in House Resolution 353 are as follows. Number 1, obstruction of justice and abuse of executive powers.
How?
Trump denied due process and defied federal court orders.
No, he didn't. He's talking about due process for illegal aliens that they don't have a right to. If you're in this country illegally, you don't have the right to due process. You're not a citizen. Your due process is, oh, you're here illegally. It's time to go home. That's it. That's done.
Seizing Congress's power of the purse. He froze funds and dismantled agencies without congressional approval. Abuse of trade powers and international aggression.
He has the right to enact tariffs. I've already gone over that in a previous video. You guys can look that up too.
His reckless tariffs hurt American families, and he even threatened military actions against our allies.
No, he
Number
didn't.
4.
He never, not once have I seen him outright just, threaten military action against anybody. Not yet. Not that I've seen. So if I'm wrong, somebody let me know. I haven't seen it.
Violation of First Amendment rights. Trump retaliated against journalists and critics for speaking out.
When?
Number 5.
When he wouldn't let a certain press association into the Oval Office. That's it. He can do that. He didn't kick them out of the press pool at the White House, but he just told them they couldn't come on Air Force One, and they couldn't come into the Oval Office. This is what he's talking about. He can do that. It's a privilege to be in the Oval Office. It's not a right for the journalists. That's a privilege they get when President Trump invites them in there, and he didn't keep them out entirely. He did bring them back in now and then. He's well within his rights to do so.
Creation of an unlawful office. He gave Elon Musk unconstitutional control over government agencies.
No, he didn't. Elon Musk is he's in an advisory role. His Doge is looking at programs, finding waste and corruption, and then he's recommending actions that the president can take. That's it. He's not got unfeathered power. And these people like to say this all the time. It's not true. He's in an advisory role. That's it.
And American people's personal data. Bribery and corruption. Trump dismissed criminal cases and accepted foreign payments for personal gain.
No, he didn't.
Number 7, tyrannical overreach. His actions reveal a dangerous attempt to consolidate unchecked power. This is not leadership, this is dictatorship. We have presidents, not kings. If we allow this to continue,
the left they like that little quote. We have presidents, not kings. This came after a troll that he did on True Social, calling himself the king. It was a good troll. The left has no sense of humor. That's all it was. I find it hilarious because the left lost their. I did a whole video on it. The left lost their minds over that True Social post. I thought it was hilarious. You guys can check it out. It was funny. Anyway,
we are telling the American people that the presidency is above the law and that the Constitution is optional. When Trump ignored court rulings, we called it out. When he threatened the peaceful transfer of power, we pushed back. When he tried to dismantle federal institutions, we said no more. Now we are fighting in the courts, in Congress, and in the court of public opinion because the truth still matters.
Okay, that's going to be enough of that. Look, I will say this guy is just grandstanding. I don't think that he has any case. Look, he doesn't have the votes anyway. He said it right in the beginning that he knows he doesn't have the votes. This is grandstanding at its finest. This is what he's going to do. I give him credit for trying to stay in the spotlight for as long as he can, but it's not going to go anywhere. That's just what I think, and it's funny to me how. I mean, an example of what I'm about. Look, the cost of pharmaceuticals is coming down because of what Trump's been doing as of trying to bring down the cost of meds for the American people. The left and the mainstream media are running with the narrative now that this is bad. The Democrats have been running on this for a couple of decades at this point, as far as back as I can remember, saying that they were going to lower the cost of pharmaceuticals for the American people because we shouldn't have to be paying thousands of dollars for medicine that we need. President Trump is actually doing it, and now they say it. Now the narrative that they're running with is it's a bad thing. This just comes back to they just cannot give this guy a win. They will not give him a win on anything. Everything he does is bad. He could cure cancer. His administration comes in, he dedicates a bunch of money to cancer research, and then they cure cancer. And this is just a hypothetical, but that say that happens, the mainstream media and the left, they're going to say, oh, this is terrible. He can't cure cancer. This is bad. This is a terrible thing. They can't give him a win on anything. But the thing is the American people are starting to see through this crap. My thoughts on this is, look, the pharmaceutical thing, you're going to see a lot of people being like, wait, why is it bad for us to pay less? Why is it a bad thing for us to spend $50 on a medication when we used to be paying like $1,000? Just hypothetically. People are going to see through this. The narrative for the pharmaceutical thing, this is going to be one of those that they can't give him a win. People are going to see through this and they're going to say, wow, they just can't give him anything. But that's what I think. But anyway, that's all I've got for this morning. Hey guys, I appreciate you being here, especially through my rants. If you like what you saw, hit that follow button. Appreciate you if you do. Give me a follow. You can also follow me on X at The Political Ray. I'm also on True Social. Not a whole lot, but I get on there at Political Ray. And again, I appreciate you, everybody, being here with me this morning. I hope everybody has a fantastic Wednesday. God bless and take care of each other.